I was like, there's something about this day felt great. Everything just felt like, all right, this might be the day. Something feels special about this.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. We have a huge show. There's a lot to talk about, and we've kind of got a two-parter for you because no spoilers, but if you're not sure somehow, if you've been living in a cave on Mars and you just weren't sure what occurred, then I would say stop listening to this entire show. Just the entire show. Just stop listening. Otherwise, obviously, Trent shot 88. He broke 90 for the first time. It was at Raindance National, which is a phenomenal spot. We talked about it the week before about how cool that place was. Colorado, how awesome the Denver area is, and for Trent to do it there after years and years, just fucking awesome. Trent's the best. I don't know that anybody's more universally rooted for in the history of internet golf than Trent Ryan or the internet in general. So for him to finally do it, the way that he did it was fucking awesome. So the second part of this show, because there's busy stuff, we're all over the place per usual. Frankie and Trent do like 45 minutes, just kind of going through the entire thing, the round, the journey from when he couldn't break 100 to what he finally shot at Raindance and the whole deal. So the second half of the show is going to be those two boys recanting on the entire experience, reliving it, talking about detail by detail, what's next, the whole deal. First part of the show, we got myself and Dan. Dan's at the Memorial with the Bushman. Kind of wild again. There's a huge tournament this week, right before U.S. Open week, but I guess with the schedule, the condensed schedule, them finishing the playoffs a little bit earlier now so they don't run into football season, elevated events, all that good stuff. There's really no better way to do it because they had Quail Hollow, the Wells Fargo, the week before the PGA. Now they've got the Memorial.
There's three in a row because there's Travelers is after the U.S. Open,
which is a massive event, a big one, and they all loved playing it even before it was an elevated event. So yeah, kind of like back to back to back, which we love. We're golf fans. It's cool. So we're going to talk about the Memorial. The RBC Canadian Open was awesome. I was there for several days. The finish with Big Bob and his father and I'm a grass cutter crying, the whole deal was phenomenal. U.S. Women's Open, phenomenal. So we got a lot to get to here. And then in terms of scheduling, we're going to have Dan's there to get a bunch of interviews. So we're going to have at least 2 or 3 interviews from the Memorial with different players. I think, we never like to say it beforehand, but I think Tommy Fleetwood's on the docket. We're potentially going to save him for U.S. Open week because he's such a big name. This shows a lot of breaking 90 stuff. He's finished, what has he shot? 2 different 63s in U.S. Opens. Is that right?
Yeah, he shot 63 at Shinnecock in the U.S. Open, which is fucking insane. And then he shot 63 at LECC, which was, basically a pitch and putt. So one really great round and one very average round.
Yeah, that's right. The LA Open is when he shot that other 63. So Tommy Fleetwood's coming up and a couple other names coming up. So anyways, a lot going on. Let's jump right into it. I want to talk about the Canadian Open. I was up there again for a few days. I love Canada. I'd been to Canada in a while. People are so goddamn nice in Canada. I used to go there mostly in hostile environments because growing up playing hockey, we would do our big tournaments, once or twice a year. We would go up to the Toronto area, and we would play, the Toronto Marlies, and we would play the Manitoba Mighty Moose. We would play these teams that were big, mean Canadian teams, and we would go up there. And, we had a couple good players on our team, but we weren't necessarily the deepest team coming from the Midwest and St. Louis in the early, late 90s. And we would just get dummied by these Canadian teams. The parents would kind of dominate our parents. But the Canadians they're just kind of super nice. And my dad would always make a bunch of friends because he loves to go up and hunt. So he would, next thing I knew, he's having beers with the guys that were the parents of the kids that would stomp on us on the ice because they would talk about, moose and bears and the whole fucking deal. So anyways, that was kind of my original relationship with Canada. As an adult, now that I've gone back up there, Canadian nice, sorry, all that whole deal. They're so fucking nice up there, man. They're so hospitable. Yeah. It's just in their DNA. And being up at the event, I kind of talked a couple weeks out that I was going up there. Alistair was playing in just his 3rd PGA Tour event ever, the biggest event he's going to play in. And a million different people reached out. We had hospitality. We had people driving us around in a golf cart when they wanted. We have so many fans in Canada. It was nuts. I was pretty blown away by that. I remember we went down to Australia, and it was crazy that a few people kind of knew who we were down there and followed the podcast and the videos or whatnot. Just up in Toronto area, it was awesome. Everybody was so insanely friendly, and everybody stops with, they give you a recommendation on where to go, which is very nice. And then they all say, thank you so much for coming up to Canada.
They're appreciative of you coming.
Oh, They loved it, and it was great. That Hamilton golf course, golf club, phenomenal. What a track. I don't think, I was getting from a bunch of different people on Saturday because I came back to Arizona over the weekend once Alistair missed the cut, and a bunch of people Saturday were like, dude, thank you for the pictures that you posted on your Instagram, because they're like, on TV, it didn't really look like it was that undulated. It was the hardest golf course I've ever walked since Augusta National.
Really?
Every single tee shot was like down, elevated tee shot down into a valley and then up to an elevated green, relentless. So it was an extremely difficult walk. When I saw that report that Fluff fell and couldn't continue, I was like, of course he fucking fell and couldn't continue. He's 70 plus years old. He's a frail guy. And I know he's a badass. He's fucking Fluff McCallum, but like, holy shit, it was a brutal walk. So it was a hard walk, but the golf course was sick. It presented nicely, dude. They had the fescue above the bunkers, that made it look like a US Open. All the fairways were these, like, it almost reminded me of the country club at Brookline where your boy Fitz won, where it was like all of them are like these tilted, winding through like the crevasses type fairways that were very difficult to hit. The rough was luscious. They got just enough rain that it was like thick and wet in the mornings a lot. So it was really hard if you missed fairways. The greens weren't necessarily super firm, but they had that like really shiny kind of green look to them of like, if you didn't hit it perfectly, if you didn't hit your chips out of the rough perfectly or whatever, it was going to be hard to hold. So the golf course presented itself phenomenally. That stage to finish was awesome with 17's a birdieable par 5. And then 18 was that very difficult par 4 with the elevated second shot to like an amphitheater up there, which ended up delivering a lot of drama. So just overall, RBC Canadian, before we get into each player and all that, just an awesome event. You've said it for years now, Dan, but any time that they play a national open, it's like even when Rahm goes and plays in like the Spanish Open, it's really cool when you get to the local level and being there and seeing how proud, like there was Golf Canada signs and slogans everywhere. There were tons of volunteers and employees that work for Golf Canada and how seriously they take it. And like, it was fucking awesome to be there. I thought they did an amazing job. And that event, for anyone that wants to go to a golf tournament that's not necessarily a major, you could see very well because it's not like the US Open and the PGA where they kind of cram an amazing amount of people into some of these venues. Like you could kind of watch whoever you wanted to watch. They had the hockey rink hole, which was fun. It was just awesome. It was a great time.
Yeah, I have a message for RBC, for the sponsor RBC. Because they are a big sponsor of the PGA Tour. They have 2 tournaments. They have the RBC Canadian Open and they have the RBC Heritage.
Jug of water I got, by the way, now.
Did they give you that up in Canada?
No, this is one some guy sent me. It's like a 1 of 1. I don't know if you guys can see on there, but this thing's bigger than my fucking head.
I was going to say that's
like once it.
It's like 100 ounces.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So they're a big sponsor, right? They front the bill, for these elevated events, signature events, this, that, and the other. RBC should switch their signature event from the RBC Heritage to the RBC Canadian Open. Because the RBC Heritage is the week after the Masters. We're all dealing with the Masters hangover. It's a great event, but part of that event is that it's like it's the not the Masters hangover, but it's kind of the relaxing detox from the Masters. It just doesn't have that like crazy big feel. The fans are all chill. Everyone's, looking at the ocean. Like the crowds in Canada are unbelievable every year. And it's a proud history, and Toronto's a huge city, and they would have no problem with, hospitality and corporate partners. And it just, for every signature event to be in the United States is a miss. And there's already this tournament in Toronto, the big, or that area, you could have it there, the biggest city in Canada. The fans have shown they'll come out. The broadcast, it translates. When the fans care and there's a ton of people there, you can see it on TV. And that looks like a huge tournament. And so if golf had any conscience, which, the last couple of years have showed us that does not, but if it does, then the RBC Canadian Open would be a signature event. It's like, if I don't know how you watch that and you don't think this is the way that the tour should go. These events that already have this soul, that is your advantage. Your advantage is you have these tournaments with soul and with history. So lean into it. I understand the scheduling would be, kind of difficult, this, that, and the other. The PGA Tour doesn't pay me to do logistics. I just think that there really should be signature events outside the United States. And the Canadian Open seems like such a no-brainer, such a layup.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I was surprised. I mean, it definitely feels like it when you're there. Rory going every year and playing in that thing is awesome. I think he clearly feels it. He's somebody who's more of a legacy player, as he said. So I think he senses that. That's why he likes to go there and play, because it's got as close to it's about as big of a deal when you're there as any tournament can be. And the Canadians are so proud of their players. Like every guy I saw on, I think like Friday, like, hey, Riggsy, did you see our boy Hughesy? Hughesy playing great. They're all like fired up.
Hughesy.
And they're all, they're Canadian, everything, put an EY on everything. And it's just, you could sense how proud they are of the whole thing. They're so proud of, how you enjoying Hamilton? Where, they just want to make sure you're having a good time. And you're right, that completely translates. And it's, nothing really matters unless people all buy in that it matters, right? It's like you could argue that from any level, from a buddy's golf trip, when you do all your dumb little awards and announcements and you keep the stats over the years, none of that matters in any way in the history of Earth or the universe unless you all buy in that it matters. And like, you could translate that as high as you want to go up to golf, where it's like, at the end of the day, it's a golf tournament. If one guy wins by a stroke over another guy, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. An asteroid's going to hit this thing, or our sun's going to burn up and suck all the planets in, and none of it's going to matter. But guess what? Like, everybody buys in that whole week that it matters, and therefore it matters. And you can feel it on TV. You can feel it when you're there. It's an awesome event. This podcast is brought to you by our great presenting sponsor, Chevy. We're talking the Chevy Blazer EV. Look, Blazer's an iconic vehicle. Everybody's known about it for a long time. I love looking at vintage Blazers, and people have had them. They've souped them up. They've gotten them all churched up over the years. Now they've made it into an electric vehicle, the Chevy Blazer EV, and Motor Trend for 2024, and they checked them all out. They checked everything out. Luxury, big, small, gas, electric, all of them. Motor Trend's SUV of the year is the Chevy Blazer EV.
Yeah, I mean that's a more impartial ranking system than the world rankings we have in our sport right now, and that came up Chevy, because it's always coming up Chevy.
The all-electric Blazer EV offers incredible views. They've got an expansive 17.7-inch standard diagonal display screen. No other competitor offers a larger screen. With Blazer EV's unique styling, comfort-driven interior, incredibly smooth ride, and responsive handling, Chevy has teed up the perfect electric vehicle to help you get anywhere you want. They've got an available EPA estimated 324 miles of range on a full charge. Head over to Chevy.com/BlazerEV to check out lease offers and amazing deals. That's Chevy.com/BlazerEV. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Good old Bobby Mack to persevere. He's a young European tour kind of guy. Scott, for his dad to be on the bag, he's been through 4 different caddies this year or something like that. I think.
It's been a rough rookie year.
It's been a rough rookie year. He played in 2 different opposite field events, which shows you like that means you're not on the right side of where you would like to be if you're playing in multiple opposite field events. And then to go into that tournament and really having he's had good stretches. He really has. He's had moments, especially last year, I feel like, where his name was really up there on some leaderboards and some big events and not quite like pull through. And then this year, with all the ups and downs with the caddy, and for him to have his dad out there, he's talked about, you were tweeting about how he's felt lonely out on the PGA Tour. For a guy that's in a different, we forget a lot. Like you forget that a guy leaves his whole family, his whole friend network, his whole comfort of what kind of food he likes, what kind of culture he likes and is from, and goes to another country where you're traveling around. He's talked a lot about how the brotherhood on the PGA Tour is not like it is on the DP World Tour, and how much comfort that gives you week in and week out when you're traveling. And then he's out there, he's got his dad on the bag, he's playing in a tournament like we just described that feels insanely important. It is important. There's a lot that comes with it. It's a good purse. You win on the PGA Tour, it does kind of change everything. So in terms of mattering, it matters about as much as it can in that moment, because winning gets you into everything and the whole deal. And to not start particularly well Saturday or Sunday and then bounce back, rally, hit the shots under pressure. His swing is so fun to watch because he's lefty. We've always said like every player that's left-handed, their swing is just more aesthetically pleasing. And it is. He just has that look. When he swings, it looks so effortless. even that little punch stinger 5-iron that he hit on 17 to get out from under that tree, and like that was so fun to watch. That lefty hit that little low cut around there, and he had some huge moments down the stretch and got the thing done. And then that interview was all time afterwards with him and his dad. And credit to Amanda Balionis. There's been a lot of BS going on with her, and she's just the best in the business when it comes to that. I really think that she is. She jumped right in there. She was getting the good stuff out of Bobby Mack, and then his dad, was soaking it all in, but was standing just far enough away from him that it was like a little bit, is he in the interview? Is he not? And then she repositioned herself and got just the final round interview of the year, I think, from him, where he just choking through tears says, "I'm just a grass cutter." And like here he is with his son up there. You could tell that it wasn't, for show or anything like that. It wasn't even just that Robert was like caught in the moment, because he withdrew from the Memorial this week, which, as you were documenting, guaranteed money, guaranteed points, big money, big points if you just show up and tee off. And he was like, "Nope, I'm going home to celebrate." So that was just a feel good kind of winner of the year, I feel like, moment.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain PGA Tour players who just don't really act like PGA Tour players, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I actually mean it in like kind of a good way. Like they're refreshingly just sort of normal, and and the guys that come to mind are sort of like Joel is like that, Joel Damon, Shane Lowry is like that. These guys, like when you talk to them, they're just like normal guys, and I think Bobby Mack is one of those guys. I think he went to like one semester of school in the U.S., didn't like it. He's not like a Ludwig who went to 4 years at Texas Tech, or he's not like a Victor Hovland who, went to Oklahoma State. Like America maybe isn't his favorite place in the world, and that's okay. Like that's fine. But he's different in that way. He doesn't. A lot of PGA Tour players, they surround themselves with their teams, and they're very regimented, and their life is about golf and golf course hotel, golf course hotel. MacIntyre is not like that, and I can understand how, especially it's very true on the DP World Tour. All those guys go out, they travel together, they get dinner together. It's like a traveling fraternity almost. And the PGA Tour, because the money is so big and the world ranking points and all, it's the highest level, and it makes sense. It's very serious out here. It's very professional. It's very buttoned up. And I think if you're playing on the DP World Tour, that can be a shock to the system. He brought his mom out to the PGA Championship. She was there all week. He contended for 3.5 days. He finished 8th. And then, I think it's really fitting that he wins with his dad on the bag, because he obviously thrives when there are people around him, and he misses his people when they're not around him. So, and for him to do that and the raw emotion. And I also think, I got a little teary-eyed, because how many of us have that obviously not the same in the sense of we're not professional golfers, but that relationship with dad through golf. Like my dad taught me how to play golf, sort of. I played golf with him all the time growing up. We still play golf. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to play in a tournament with him. Like that is who first and foremost shares your golf journey with you. And a lot of different people have that experience. And so for the two of them to have that on that green with all the fans, which made the moment way better, it was just it made you smile. And then the Canadian Open really has delivered the drama. Last couple of years, maybe not in a good way. Like it wasn't their fault, but shit just keeps happening during the Canadian Open. In 2022, it was the same week as the first live event. And there was all the talk about who might be next and these guys being suspended, this and the other. Rory wins, and he's like, I just won one more than Greg Norman, and it was super juicy. Last year, Tuesday of the tournament, they're gearing up for their great event, their National Open. The framework agreement drops. Man. And everyone's just like, what the fuck is going on? And every interview that week is like players being like so mad that they didn't know what was happening, this, that, and the other. And still the tournament was incredible with Nick Taylor and Tommy Fleetwood down the stretch. Nick Taylor making that 72-footer to become the first Canadian in 59 years to win his National Open. And then this year with Bobby Mack. So what a great run for Canada. And just one of those things we can all smile and get behind.
No, I completely agree with you. And, a lot of us, like you said, have that relationship. We were introduced to golf through our dads, and to see the two of them up there pretty much for any father-son combo that got into golf through their dad, that is the pinnacle of where that relationship can go.
It's the best it could possibly be.
You're standing on the 18th green of a really cool PGA Tour event that your son just won, and the dad was caddying for him. It can't get any cooler than that. And, I know, like, I have that relationship with my dad when he loves coming to the Barstool Classics, just because he's like, the fact that we got into golf when you were a little kid and we were slapping around, not particularly good at the game. And here we are doing these events where people are having fun around the game of golf. That's insane. Now you magnify that by 10,000, and he's caddying for his son on the 18th green. He's not even, like he said, doesn't in any way in his own brain feel like he's supposed to be there. I'm just a grass cutter, the most humble comment any human could ever make. It was awesome. It was such a feel-good moment. So good for them. I think that guy, if you're an American, we all like to root for the American players. But if you're going to root for somebody that's not American now, he is going to be a fan favorite going forward. He should be. He already kind of was. He's got the great name. He's got the Scottish look, the whole deal. So for him to get that win, it was just awesome. So congratulations to him. Skipping this week, even cooler. I love that. We'll see him at the U.S. Open. Alistair, our boy missed the cut. He shot 3 over. I think the cut was even par. He had an interesting couple days. He played with Victor Perez and then Chandler Phillips. And
Victor Perez almost won the tournament. Yeah.
Almost won the damn tournament. And it's funny because I know I know Alistair after the Myrtle Beach Classic, obviously a big takeaway was he won life-changing money, especially career-changing money for the next 3 or 5 years. That gives him runway just financially to be able to continue to try to make it. Got him into another event. But we talked a lot about it. Doesn't get you points for Korn Ferry Tour. Doesn't really get you points for the PGA Tour unless he got a bunch more points this last week. So what does it really give you? A lot of it was that confidence, that belief, because for a guy that's been trying to make it for 7-8 years playing professional golf, hasn't really broken through. Boom, you do that on the PGA Tour, beat a lot of players that those names, they've had success the PGA Tour is huge. And I know even though he missed the cut by 3, didn't have his best stuff, he was right there, and he knows he could play with those guys. And he was, throughout pretty much those 2 days, even though he missed the cut, going toe-to-toe with Victor Perez, no problem. You wouldn't even really notice that one was a couple shots better than the other. Down the stretch on their last 9 holes, it kind of throughout a lot of it, I think I was noticing Perez was like even or 1 under, and Al was like 1 over. They're both right there. And then obviously Perez almost wins the event. Alistair misses the cut by 3. And I looked like Joel Damon. Joel Damon didn't have his best in Myrtle Beach. Al beat him by quite a few. And then this last week, Joel finishes top 10. Alistair misses the cut. So I think that he's still, knowing that he didn't have his stuff, he was barely missing fairways, which out there, it's brutal. Like we talked about at the beginning, you just can't really miss fairways. It's tough to get any ball close. Missed a few short putts, and all of a sudden you shoot 3 over instead of making the cut and making a run on the weekend. So I still think he's got a ton of confidence. It was great to see a lot of the support out there, especially on like the first couple tees, because a lot of people didn't want to walk the whole golf course because it's just a brutal walk. But first couple tees, there were a ton of people just rooting, screaming at Al for his story. He wore the Canucks jersey, which was bold in there. He was getting booed by people. He's a huge Vancouver Canucks fan, be it from out there. His family was out there, his parents, grandparents. He had his sister, like just a bunch of friends. It was very, very cool to see, and a lot of people following him. So awesome for Alistair to get that experience. Now he's got to go to work. He's got work to do on the Korn Ferry Tour. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but it's like he gets these couple opportunities. It's awesome. He made the most of the Myrtle Beach one, and now he's got to get those points going. He's got to absolutely rack up the points, guarantee that he's got good Korn Ferry Tour status going forward. Finishes inside the top 30 on the Korn Ferry Tour. You get your PGA Tour card for next year, which is completely life-changing. So it's still go time. He's still playing for his career week in and week out. It was awesome to see him in that environment, like I said, and he held up incredibly well. It's like, you never know, right? Like, I get so goddamn nervous. I've hit so many bad shots in nerve-wracking situations that you're like, all right, this is my friend that like we think is really good and can play on the PGA Tour, and he had that second place finish. And then there he is out there just striping it, ripping drives around left and right, making birdies. He obviously followed too much of it up with bogeys and didn't quite make the cut. But awesome week for Alistair to have the support. I think he's still got a ton of belief being out of the PGA Tour. He knows he can be there. And now he can just translate that to the Korn Ferry Tour, baby, and light that place up. And he could be on the PGA Tour next year.
Yeah, a lot of it is about belief. A lot of it is you can have all the belief in yourself, but I think it was Victor Hovland who said, where does trust come? Trust comes from results. And it's one thing to tell yourself, yeah, I'm good enough to be out there. I know it. It's another to actually do it. And he's done it now. So it's a market shift.
Yeah. So let's go, Alistair. He's back this week. He's got the BMW on the Korn Ferry Tour, and they just keep riding and try to rack up those points, rack up those finishes, win an event, and let's go. Sound the trumpets. It's horse racing time. So saddle up for action with DK Horse, an official DraftKings affiliate. Right now, new customers who download the DK Horse app, I'm going to do this right now, can get a 100% deposit bonus up to $250. Once again, new customers, if you go download right now the DK Horse app, you can get 100%, that's 100% deposit bonus up to $250. Just deposit $25 or more and complete the playthrough requirement. Wager on your favorite horses, then watch the races live right in the app. You can watch them live right in the app. Great time. Download the DK Horse app now. New customers get a 100% deposit bonus up to $250 when they opt in with the code 4. So just make sure you go opt in, code 4, FORE, only on the DK Horse app. What do we got? The Belmont this weekend? I think that's what's going on.
Is that right? The third leg of the Triple Crown?
I believe the Belmont's coming up. I think I saw something on Dave's Instagram. Belmont is.
I like how you said
Saturday, June 8th.
There you go. I like how you said favorite horse. How does one determine their favorite horse? Is it just a name situation? Yeah, I think the name goes a long way there.
Just a huge part of it. I can't imagine. Maybe the look if you're a little bit, more dialed into the different horses and the look and the colors and all the whole deal. But name's probably pretty dominant. The name that you should use and opt in with is the code 4 because you can get a 100% deposit bonus up to $250 only on the DK Horse app. U.S. Women's Open. Lancaster was awesome. This golf course was about as perfect of a U.S. Open venue could be, men or women, doesn't really matter. I saw Billy Horschel kind of tweeting the same thing. I think 5 under. Yuka Sasa was 4 or 5 under. There were only a couple of people that finished under par. That's perfect, man. That's just absolutely perfect. I don't need every U.S. Open to be a winged foot in 2006 when Jeff Ogilvy was 5 over and 1 after Phil made that double on the 72nd hole. I think the next year or one of the years, Oakmont, the winning score was 7 over. I don't need that. But, man, when I look at an event like this, it was incredibly fair. It was very penal in certain spots that could add up to anybody. I know the event was not could not have been overly thrilled with not having at least a star, a big star or two in the mix. Nelly Korda, Brooke Henderson, like a star from over here. And Minjee Lee's won a couple majors. I know she was the one who I was banking on. She kind of fell off, didn't get the job done. But, man, the finish, the course, the way it presented itself, a bunch of the clips, and even Nelly, I'm sorry, but even Nelly making a 10 on a par 3 12th hole, that transcended golf. Like, everybody knew that. I think if you asked almost any, like, kind of, not any, but a lot of sports fans who were plugged into Twitter and social media, general sports fans, like, they'd be able to tell you that, oh, yeah, Nelly Korda's won 1 million events in a row this year and made a 10 to start the U.S. Open. That's a good thing. I know it's not great that she made a fucking 10, but, like, her name's out there. All my group texts were sitting that around, right? Like, if a general average player out on the women's tour, even a top 10, like, average player doesn't have the star power of Nelly Korda, makes a 10 on a par 3, I don't think that gets shared by a lot of the just average buddies group texts. That was being shared everywhere. So I think that was kind of it gave me a little bit of a sign that she really is kind of elevating the game, despite the fact that people are a little bit, oh, she could do more interviews, whatever. Her play speaks for itself. It's made her into a pretty damn legitimate superstar in the world of golf. And I think even though she didn't make the cut, she didn't have her best, she's probably not happy about it. I think that moment even kind of showed me that she is turning into a megastar, that people are commenting on everything that she's doing. And I thought the golf course was about as perfect of a U.S. Open golf course as you could have.
Yeah, you said that really well. I love the clip of her. She made like a 20-footer for par on that same hole on Friday, and then you could very clearly see her say "fuck you" to the green as she left, which I thought was awesome. You're right. That's really the sweet spot for U.S. Opens. Like, I love the ability. Allie Ewing, I think is her name. She was 6 over through 2 rounds, and she finished top 5 because that's when the course is hard and the scoring is up there. You know, you have a hot weekend. I think she shot like 3 under or 4 under in the final round, finished like an hour before everybody else, and just kind of kept rising up the board. Love when that happens. So I have a feeling Pinehurst will sort of be the same way. But yeah, look, the tournament was obviously hurt by Nelly not being there, but it wasn't just Nelly. And I'm pulling up a tweet right now because I compiled kind of a list of who missed the cut. But yeah, it was not just Nelly. It was basically, so Nelly Korda, Rose Zhang, Brooke Henderson, Lydia Ko, Leona McGuire, Georgia Hall, Angel Yin, Maja Stark, Alison Corpus, Lexi Thompson all missed the cut. So it was definitely it missed some star power, but the star of the week was Lancaster, and I think it's really cool when tournaments. The women's game has an advantage on the men's game in the sense of distance is not really an issue. It's not a hindrance for golf courses. They can go basically anywhere. They can play tournaments at these golden age courses that aren't 7,700 yards and can't maybe contain the men or just aren't long enough, but they're plenty long for the women. And so to go to these kind of different courses that are in areas that don't usually get US Opens, and it seemed like the crowds were really good all week. It was the biggest show in Lancaster that week, so everybody turned out. Kind of the mid-sized city. Like I think it's a good model for the US Women's Open to follow.
It is nice that they can go to a lot of these golf courses, pretty much any golf course. It's their perfect yardage. They play from 65, 6,600 yards, somewhere along that line. And that opens you up to being able to play pretty much any golden age of architecture, whatever you want to call them, golf course in the world. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see. It's cool how much it means to that town. Like you said, they showed up. There are a bunch of cool images being shared of how many fans were out there. And that's great. Like a lot of the women's events don't get a ton of fans. They just don't get the same fan turnout that a lot of the men's events get. And to see them lining up fairway on 18, even though, like you said, a lot of the star power missed the cut, it was sweet. It was a sweet event. The golf was about as fun to watch as you can get. Like every shot in that 12th hole was just like mesmerizing to watch. Because the margin was so incredibly thin. And it was like that on a lot of different holes. You're seeing a lot of different good shots that kind of caught a little bit of a false front, rolls into a spot that's not the easiest up and down. You had to hit fairways. The greens were slick. People were three-putting from not that far distance. Yet you also, I saw you saw so it was 4 under. You saw plenty of numbers on, throughout the week of people that didn't have their best all week, that didn't necessarily finish, in a phenomenal spot throughout the week. But, there's somebody finished 2 over for the week. I'm looking at 2 under on Sunday. I'm seeing another 4 under on Sunday from Hannah Green, who ended up 5 over for the week. So it's like you could get punished throughout the week when you didn't have your stuff, but there was also a 4 or 5 under out there if you did have your best stuff. So I thought it presented itself perfectly.
Yeah, and no one bitched about the setup. Like the men bitch all the time. I'm not saying it's a men or a woman thing, but when courses are hard, there's usually people who are like, they're trying to make a fool of us, this, that, or the other. And I think every player was like, this is great. I wish it was like this more often. It's a super fair test of golf.
Yeah. Yep. It was phenomenal. Continues to be the best event in women's golf. I love it. US Open is next week at Pinehurst for the men. Fired up, flying there.
What's Sunday. Your plan? Yeah. What's you gotta, your house is literally 40 yards from the third tee?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's right there. The wall that they put up it's not that much of a barrier. So I think we're going to have a pretty intimate relationship with a lot of the fans as well.
Wow.
We are right there. I invited my parents. I invited my brother and his family. I invited one of our best friends from home, JR and his family, our friend Mike. The 3 of them, my brother, our boy JR and Mike, they're all like best friends from high school. And then again, my brother and Johnny, they got, young families. We're all incredibly tight. Whenever I go home, that's where I stay. That's who I hang out with. They've got a bunch of young kids. So we've kind of got a little bunkhouse room set up in the house, and it's just going to be a family and friends affair. Obviously going to Pinehurst much I do. I got a bunch of friends in town that'll swing by. I'll have you guys by. We built a little bit of a patio, I guess you would call it. That's, with scaffolding and a small little viewing area. We're going to put, I have in one of the rooms in the house, I've got a little small 4-top circular bar, what would be like a bar top kind of table in a bar that we're going to put out there. I got a bunch of lawn seats that we're going to set out there on that, and we're just going to kind of hang, watch the golf. I've got our media credentials, so I'll be able to go in and do our work. We got the event Tuesday at Mid Pines, which is going to be awesome. So it'll be a busy week, but I think we're going to kind of combine that with just hanging, watching the golf, enjoying it, little family weekend. I'm going to get my camera out and try to get a bunch of cool pictures of Tiger playing the 3rd hole with my house in the background that I'm going to frame around the house and do that for a bunch of different stars.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that's so sick. That part, I didn't even think about that. I even think, those pictures of you're staying in this house, and for people who are there, that's really badass.
So I can't wait. Yeah, I'm really, really, really.
Was it a hard decision to not Because like you could get, probably like $100,000 or something for that house for the week, or like something insane.
Yeah, it was I was pretty much planning on that for years. For a couple years, I was going to rent it out. But I sort of about a year ago changed my mind. I just thought there's probably nothing cooler in the world than having a U.S. Open in your backyard. My parents are retired at this point, so like we're always trying to get together and do fun stuff. Whether it go visit them in Colorado or we go to St. Louis and kind of orbit around the grandkids, their grandkids, my nephew and niece, or we go on a vacation, whatever it is. And my brother's incredibly into golf. We got into golf together. Our buddies from home are very into golf. So we're going to be there for work anyways. I was kind of started thinking like, God, it would be a little bizarre for me to go to Pinehurst for the U.S. Open and like have Barstool book me a hotel room that I'm going to stay in that's like 20 minutes away. And I just figured, screw it. I said, if it down the road, they have the U.S. Open there every 5 years pretty much for the next like 20 years. So if it really gets to a point
it's the first one,
man, I should have like taken that money, then we'll have other opportunities to do that. But yeah, I mean, a nearby neighbor I know got $75,000 for the week. So it's a good amount. It's a lot of money.
It's a serious amount of money.
Could have gotten to just hand over the keys. But I think we're going to have like an iconic week. If we were just going to be able to go for a day or two, like it wouldn't have made a ton of sense. But I talked to my parents, my brother, and them about a year ago, and they were like, yep, we're in. So I think they're driving down from St. Louis on Tuesday, which is a whatever it is, 12-hour drive or something, with their whole families, book some spa times. Saturday and Sunday morning, since they tee off later in the U.S. Open, we got a couple tee times booked. So we're just going to have like the coolest week of all time. We're obviously going to have a lot of work to do. So we'll be doing work stuff. We'll be hosting events and trying to get player interviews and doing podcasts and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. This is going to be one of the coolest weeks of all time. We've been getting the house prepared. I can already tell that like the platform that I built, if you will, is already the talk of the town. Like what people don't realize, it's like Pinehurst is kind of a retirement community. Like it's turned into a huge resort community, obviously, but there's like thousands of members of the Pinehurst Country Club that live around there. And like any HOA type environment, they gossip and talk about everything. And I know that they're like, here's this like young asshole who
that Barstool Riggs is going to be throwing a racket,
build a fucking tower basically in his backyard, and that's kind of what we did. It's wooden, so it sticks out. So I'm gonna have it stained over this next week green, nice, so that it blends in a little bit more. But you'll see off the third hole, if you're gonna be at the U.S. Open, we'll be hanging, man. We're gonna be up there having drinks, just enjoying the U.S. Open. Obviously, people know I love golf more than anything in the world. I love Pinehurst more than anything in the world. So those two things coming together, it's going to be like my favorite week of the year. I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why you buy a house right on the golf course at Pinehurst. It's an iconic spot, and iconic courses have big tournaments. So yeah, you're gonna be peaking that whole week.
I'm already.
It's also nice that you have like. It's not like it's okay. It's a football game, right? That lasts like 3 hours and then it's over. Like you have a full week. You're gonna have so much fun Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the tournament's gonna start.
I know. And people know like people always ask us when we go to these events, we usually leave like Wednesday night or Thursday morning, and people can't believe that. But I'm like, there's nothing for us to do once we're there. Like we can't, once the tournament starts, the players clamp up because it's a major championship. The media rights really kick in. So you can't really film anything. And so it's like, what are we going to do while we're there other than just enjoy it personally? It costs money for us to have hotel rooms. We almost lose out on the viewing experience because a lot of what we commentate on the podcast or on Twitter is what the viewer back home is experiencing by watching the coverage. And so if we're just there running around following one group at a time, two players over the weekend, you're really like lose a lot of the context of the entire event. So we kind of learned that over the years of like, if we go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, players are more open, media rights are more open, and we can get a lot more stuff, and then we get the hell out of town. So this time, like you said, we'll get our work done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the most part. Once the tournament starts, obviously I'll be able to have my own kind of introspective look at it. You stick around because you're kind of our big J. But this time I'm actually going to stick around for the entire weekend and have my own little experience. So I'm very fired up. I can't fucking wait. I can't believe the U.S. Open's coming to Pinehurst. I mean, it's been since 2014, which doesn't seem that long, but like this whole relationship that Foreplay and myself have built with Pinehurst has been since 2020. So it's only been 4 years.
Yeah. What if I told you when you were watching the 2014 US Open at Pinehurst that you would have a house on the third tee and you'd be hosting people all week and you'd have this massive golf brand that, you're repping.
Unimaginable. I mean, that is so far from like reality that you got to be. That's a big part of the reason that I'm staying at the house with my family, where it's like, what are you talking about? This isn't even.
Yeah.
This is so far beyond the coolest life that I think anyone could have thought, that we got to just do it and take advantage of it. And if all of this collapses and comes down somehow, which I feel like it has to because it feels like a house of cards, but at least we got to have that 2024 US Open in the backyard.
That's right. The culmination.
That's right. So yeah, I'm fucking pumped. I can't believe it. I do remember watching Ricky with the all orange, Martin Keimer. People were trying to hope that he would collapse a little bit because he had a 1,000,000-stroke lead. I think Keimer was like 9 under and Ricky was like 1 under or even. So the course played pretty damn difficult 10 years ago. I'm hoping the same. I know, people are going to have to get reacclimated again. There's no rough. There's like not a blade of rough on the entire golf course. It is wire sandgrass and then fairways. And the iconic Pinehurst number 2 greens, which have been elevated and turned into eggshells, are going to be the talk of the town. That's where John Daly famously just hit a moving ball on the 8th hole because it was rolling off the green yet again and he just couldn't take it anymore. So that's going to kind of be the entire experience, is what goes on around the greens. They're going to talk on the coverage nonstop about how Martin Keimer in 2014 didn't really chip the ball once. He just putted from everywhere off the green. And so that's kind of going to be the test. That's going to be a little bit different than a typical US Open. I know like this week, it's looking like there's not really a ton of rain. I heard the golf course is playing incredibly pure right now. It drains there very well anyways. It's the Sand Hills of North Carolina. It's very sand based, which is why, it's such a golf hotspot. It's a perfect spot for people to build golf courses. Donald Ross built 1 million of them down there. So I'm hoping if the weather cooperates, if you look at the footage, dude, from 2014, the fairways and everything are burnt out like brown. It was awesome because that course, Donald Ross is a Scottish guy. He tries to build golf courses that are like Scottish links the way that they play. And if you get a ton of rain, obviously it just doesn't do that. When it's firm and they get those things humming, the greens too, because they are, eggshells, the landing area where the ball will actually stay on the green shrinks dramatically. Whereas like if it's wet a little bit and if they're receptive, literally the green becomes much larger. And if it's fucking firm and they can dry it out, which hopefully they could do in the middle of the summer, the greens become this big. Like there's nowhere to hit the golf ball, which will be such a fun thing to watch. So yeah, I'm really juiced up. Like I'm so fired up for next week.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. We got Memorial this week. It's, busy times in the golf world.
Milkshakes, baby. I love the Memorial. Memorial is always one of my favorite tournaments to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, it's Busch and I are excited to be here. Busch has got like friends in Columbus. I've got some family here. So we're going to head out to the golf course shortly after this and do our thing. And I'm excited to hang with you, Alex.
Wow, I'm actually shocked by that.
Yeah, I am. I like hanging out with you.
You're usually so mean to each other.
I like Alex a lot. He's just a fucking loser, but I like him.
He is a loser. That's true.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something about the Memorial, but I forgot what I was going to say.
Jack Nicklaus.
It's definitely Jack Nicklaus.
Scotty Scheffler is free and playing golf again this week.
One of the from the galleries, actually, that's a good transition. We're going to do a quick from the gallery here. From the gallery time. From the gallery is brought to you by just our fantastic partners and friends at TaylorMade Golf. What if the golf ball you're playing isn't the number one golf ball for you? Meet the all-new TP5 and TP5X from TaylorMade. When I've gone to the kingdom and our friend Trotty has fit us, he says right when you get there, he says the number one piece of equipment that you're going to be fit for today is what, Dan?
Golf ball.
It's the golf ball. It's the golf ball. A lot of people don't think that. Think what you use isn't going to matter. Whether you prefer the softest 5-layer ball in TP5 or the fastest, that's now, by the way, a half club longer in the TP5X, you'll be playing a golf ball that performs like it was built just for you. Also, you can customize. TaylorMade's the best at this. You can customize, available in white, yellow, and picks. You can personalize it with my symbol. So no matter which you choose, every TP5 and TP5X is designed to help your game. Head to TaylorMadeGolf.com today to find the number one ball for you. I got one on my own, but I'm going to go to the Scotty one first. Enrico asks, what if the Scotty situation that occurred with the police had happened to Patrick Reed? How different would the reaction have been?
It's interesting because we were talking about when it happened, like if that happened to Russell Henley, I think we talked about it on this podcast, like how big of a story would that be? So if Scotty's on one side of like nice, respectful, soft spoken, everybody likes him, and Russell Henley's bang down the middle, and then you have Patrick Reed on the other side, you're asking how it would go fully on the other side. I think people would joke about it a lot more, but I think that there would probably still be the same, like, this is ridiculous. I think. Or maybe not. I don't know. But that video, once the video came out, there was really it wasn't even like a conversation anymore.
I think it would have been wildly different. I think people would have been like, I'm not saying people would have been like Blue Lives Matter all over the place, but I do think there would have been like, I can't wait to see what Patrick Reed actually did. Geez, I think people would have instinctively been like, he was at fault. Of course, they arrested him. Whereas the Scotty one, I think everyone's initial reaction was like, of course Scotty wasn't at fault. How did they possibly arrest him?
That's part of the reason why it was such a big story, is because Scotty is, Scotty. He's like the most respectful, soft-spoken, nice, religious guy. Like, it was just unbelievable when it happened. And sometimes things that are unbelievable for a reason. The word is it not to be believed.
It is amazing that actually happened. Like, God, just never forget that occurred. That just occurred.
Yeah, it's good now that it's dropped. Now that the charges are dropped, it's kind of like fully in the rearview mirror. So it's nice to be able to be like, that was the fucking wildest thing ever.
Good thing they dropped those charges. That was the right call. This one's from me. I was thinking about this on Saturday when I flew from Toronto back to Scottsdale and landed in Phoenix. And I was watching all the golf bags come off of the carousel. And I started thinking in my head, what airport in the world do you think receives the most number of golf bags?
It's a good question. I was looking the other day about like busiest airports in America. Mm-hmm. It's got to be in America because golf is just huge in America. Could be like Edinburgh. Could be like Edinburgh in Scotland, but I would say it's probably America. I would say Atlanta would be my answer because they're the busiest airport. Highest proportion of golf bags to luggage would probably be Scottsdale or like West Palm Beach. But I think biggest number would probably be Atlanta.
That's a good point because you just have to do sheer volume, like at some point just dominates. I would say Atlanta has so many that are going through Atlanta that's true, and they have so many. It's like the busiest airport on earth, I think. So obviously they're gonna dominate in that category. I think a lot of people connect through there. So if you did like total number of golf bags that actually come out on the carousel, dude, I have to think like Phoenix or West Palm Beach are so high up there because it was every other bag on this fucking plane from Toronto that I'm watching to this carousel was just golf bag for golf bag. And then as we're all walking out the Uber, you pass like 800 other people that are all just dragging golf bags around. And I just started thinking, I was like, dude, I don't see this anywhere. And we travel all the time. We take flights everywhere. But yeah, Florida's got to be up there. It's got to be up there. Like even, dude,
like
even
Orlando.
Yeah. Like as weird of a place as Orlando is as a whole, and I think that we can all agree on that. Like if you choose to live inland in Florida, that's kind of weird to me. But that place is humming. People go there. It's affordable golf. It's Florida. It's easy from the East Coast, and there's so much population in the U.S. that's on the East Coast that, yeah, I would think, and I'm trying to think like California has so many golfers, but I don't know that people travel there as much.
It's not like a golf destination.
No, like unless obviously you're going to Pebble, you're going to some places, but like the sheer volume's not going to add up. I don't think enough people like it's obviously a religious pilgrimage to go to like Bandon and all that, but I don't think it's the sheer volume of people that are in. Yeah, I think it's probably Atlanta. I think you're right. I think it's got to be Atlanta. Might be the number one airport in the world for most golf bags received through checked baggage.
Yeah. That I got PTSD of waiting for my golf bag in that line. There's such a moment of community though when all the golfers are waiting for their golf bags and you all just look around and you're from different walks of life and different parts of the country, but you're all united in the belief that my fucking driver better be in one piece when I open this bag.
Speaking of that scene, one of my favorites is that when you land in Raleigh and they have the oversized bag as like a little extra thing. That's the normal where they got the slide, and they slide the bags down, and right above it, my boy Pashley bought a Pinehurst advertisement. That's just like a billboard right above that spot. And I remember we were in Bandon together like 4 or 5 years ago. And as we were leaving and going to the check bag area, he was looking around being like, I'm trying to think where in this exact area I need to buy a Pinehurst advertisement for the people that are leaving to be like, fuck, we got to go to Pinehurst next.
That's awesome. Smart. That's guerrilla marketing right there.
Yeah, it's a good move. It's a good move. All right, last one from the gallery, which is going to be a great transition into the Breaking 90 talk. Ian says, I'm watching Breaking 90. I noticed that Trent does not put the driver cover back on his driver every time he puts the driver away in his golf bag. So my question is, do you all, he actually wrote y'all, shout out to Jake Bass, do you all slap the cover back on the driver and or putter every time, or do you let it ride?
Putter, yes. Driver, no. Because the driver is it's the tallest club in the bag, so it really shouldn't be clanking against other ones. But the putter, I feel like, you look at it a little bit more. It's a feel object, right? I don't want the face to get scuffed or anything. I treat my putter with more care than my driver for sure.
I'm the exact same. I think most golfers are. I could see Trent being a guy that doesn't put his cover on his putter, just doesn't really care
let it
that
ride.
much. I could totally see that. And I think like my dad does that, where I've bought him a bunch of cool head covers. I don't think my dad puts any head covers on his golf bag. He's like so old school. He doesn't give a shit. And I got him a cool custom one from like this fishing club that he's in, where I pulled the logo off the internet. I talked to our boys at CMC Designs, and I got him this sweet custom like driver head cover. And I don't think he's ever put it on the back. He's like, he's not a head cover guy. He's like, no, we don't use head covers. But I agree with you. I think driver, first tee, you take that cover off. I don't put it back on again until you pull up to the cart guys at the end and you're doing the whole deal. You tip them and they put the thing back on, clean the clubs. I don't see the head cover again. And the putter you put on every single time. I'm not. Let me ask you a question. If you go out to the green, but you've missed the green, and you head out to the green with your wedge and your putter, do you keep the head cover on the putter when you go out to the green?
Yeah. I usually, it's got the magnetic clip, so I would just like clip it to the 60-degree wedge after the chip.
Yeah, same. I do that as well. I think
standard.
I don't know that you have to though, because grass is so soft, it's not going to get scuffed. But then you also don't want it to get dirty because it's a feel item, like you said.
I want to keep it
like,
warm, I want to, it's an important club. I want it to feel hug and snug, before I have to use it.
It is an important club, man. All right, last thing we're going to do For The Cut, and then we are going to throw it over to Frankie and Trent, who are going to relive every single second of Breaking 90 and one of the great accomplishments in the history of the Foreplay Golf podcast and YouTube channel. I have to pull this up right now. I know you've already picked one, and then we can have Mr. Bushman. Have you gotten the For The Cut picks from the other fellas?
Yep, I texted you guys that earlier today.
Well, yeah, but it's cooler if you say it on the show.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
I will. Yep, I will.
All right, Dan Radport, what is your choice?
I went with Sung Jae Im in a nod to my near dear friend Will Wilcox. Sung Jae plays well on hard courses where it's firm. I think that's going to be the case this week at Muirfield Village. I also think we're going to have an interview with him, and Willie is probably my favorite person in the traveling golf circus. So Sung Jae's my pick this week.
Bushman, can you read off the other two guys' choices?
Yes. So Frankie Borelli is going with Keegan Bradley.
God,
and
that was going to be my
Trent
pick.
is going with Tom Hoagie.
Okay, I like Tom Hoagie. Seems like a nice fella. I'm going to go, and this is coming off a great experience at the bar in Burlington with Mr. Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry is maybe my favorite player on tour that I don't really know and I'm not great friends with at this point. We had finished up following Alistair on Thursday, and we just went to the local or the hotel bar where we were staying, and Shane was sitting there with his agent and his caddy, and we made eye contact, and I went over there and said hi. He wasn't drinking; he was just kind of having a nice little dinner, and then took off. And we shot the shit for like 10 or 15 minutes. That guy's just the absolute best. He's
the nicest guy in the world.
He is awesome. He is like, he pays attention to. So he was talking about a few of like the foreplay posts on like Instagram. He was asking a lot of questions about different stuff, and he's just awesome. He was telling stories about, because I was asking about New Orleans. I said, congrats on that win. That was so fun to watch down at the Zurich. And I was like, by the way, where'd you guys eat while you're down there? Because when we were down there with Dr. Brett McCabe a couple of years ago, me and Trent Daddy, Dr. Brett McCabe brought us to a bunch of good spots, and he was like, I'll eat anywhere, but Rory's a fancy fuck. So he was like, we just went wherever we wanted to go.
That checks
great.
out.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. So I'm going Shane Lowry this week. He's my man. And I think those are our picks. I was going to pick Keegan. Hasn't Keegan won here? Didn't he win the Memorial? Or am I crazy? Did he compete at
I think you're crazy.
Memorial?
think you're crazy. I don't think he's won the Memorial.
I feel like I had some kind of memory of Keegan Bradley at the Memorial, either playing well or contending. I could just be wrong. Maybe it was the President's Cup or something like that he was good when it was at the Memorial. I don't know.
That would
Maybe
check
I'm wrong
out.
about
2013, I think.
Is that right? I had some kind of visual of Keegan playing well at Memorial, or at the Muirfield Village, I should say. Anyways, those are the For The Cut packs. We got Sung Jae, Lowry, Keegan, Tom Hoagie. We're going to throw it to Frankie and Trent, who are going to do all the Breaking 90 talk. We'll be back on Thursday per usual. Hit it hard, Dan.
Hit it hard.
Your hair may grow fast, but after going to Sport Clips haircuts, you'll wish it grew even faster. That is because Sport Clips has the best seats in hair. That may or may not be because they happen to be right in front of TVs playing sports all day, every day. Dan, I went by there on Saturday, and I know that you're a soccer guy, and they had the Champions League finale on, and we were sitting there in the little waiting. I spent a couple minutes in the waiting room, and we were buzzing watching the Champions League final. It looked like, because Real went up 2-0, as they say in soccer. And then it looked like, is it Dortmund? Is that how you say the team?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Looked like they scored. It ended up being offside, but it looked like they scored. Everybody's jumping off their seats because we were right there. They got TVs at Sport Clips.
Yeah, you're not going to miss any action. And that's, I think, the thing with haircuts at places that aren't Sport Clips is you're kind of just standing there for a while. You don't really know what to do with your eyes. You don't really know what to do with your hands. You don't really know whether to talk to the guy, this, that, or the other. Sport Clips makes it very easy. Just watch the game, hang out, be a dude.
Yeah, at Sport Clips, you could check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with pure, uninterrupted relaxation. So, yes, come watch an endless stream of sports on TV while getting a phenomenal haircut. You can get the MVP experience. You could just have a delightful experience in there, and you got to get your hair cut. There's nowhere better to do it than Sport Clips. Sport Clips, it's a game changer.
All right, folks, we have a very special segment to give you today. I just want to say off the top, spoiler alert, if you have not watched Breaking 90 yet, today is Tuesday. I'm not sure what the date is. It might be in June. I guess it is June. It's Tuesday. I want to let you guys know to stop listening to this and go watch Breaking 90 right now. That's a demand from the Foreplay podcast to go to YouTube or to Rumble and to watch Breaking 90 immediately and then come back and listen to this segment. If you have made it this far, I want to toss it to Trent Ryan to essentially talk about what happened in the last Breaking 90 episode.
Yeah, I broke 90. I shot 88. Yeah, man. I shot 88 at Raindance National in Windsor, Colorado. We were out there for the Barstool Classic. We flew out a little bit early, and we're like, let's just film a Breaking 90. We had shot one a couple weeks before at Rockville. I shot an excruciating 94 where I missed like 6 5-footers. And that could have been the day if I had just had my head on straight and been able to putt, but I wasn't, and I didn't. I flew down to John Tillery that night after Rockville, worked with him for 2 days, did something a little different where I didn't take a camera crew with me. I didn't take Brandon. I didn't take Alex. I didn't take any of the guys. And it was just a work trip between me and John Tillery, which it was actually incredible. It's amazing how different it is, because when you're filming those sessions, it's, you want to be entertaining. John Tillery wants to be entertaining. But once the cameras are off, he's like, man, I would love for you to come down here for 2 days where you and I can just work for 7 hours a day for 2 days. And that's exactly what we did. We did some social videos. We took some pictures to let people know that we were there. But other than that, it was just me and John Tillery, and we got some real work done. And I think that work really showed in the episode where I broke 90 at Raindance National. My putting was better. I was able to get out of bunkers. But yeah, man, this whole thing has been a long time coming. For anybody who has followed the ride from breaking 100 to breaking 90, I know Frankie's been there the whole time. I've obviously been there the whole time. Breaking 100 was one thing, and I don't remember how many attempts. I should have gone back and looked before we did this segment about how many attempts it took for me to break 100, but it probably took, I'll say 12 to 15 times, and over the course of probably less than a year. And then we're like, all right, we're going to jump right into breaking 90. And that's a big jump. Anybody who knows anything about golf knows that's a big jump. And boy, did that prove to be true, because it took us almost 3 years. I think that picture I took at Garden City Country Club when I broke 100 was July 21st of 2021. It is now May 30th of 2024. First of all, we lived, we survived, we made it somehow, somehow, some way. And over the course of that, I broke 90. And there were some dark times. I'm not going to lie to you. And Frankie knows better than anybody. The viewers who watched probably know a little bit about it, but like, when we played, one of the times I went down and saw John Tillery, Frankie came with me, and we were like, all right, we're going to work for a couple days, and then we're going to play Cuskawilla. We're going to try to break 90 out there. And Frankie had done this awesome thing where he hit up all these tour pros and Fred Couples and Joey LaCava and all these people who were like, he put together a montage of me like, hey man, we really want you to break 90. We're rooting for you. Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Max Homa, all of these guys. An incredible hype video. So we're rolling into Cuskawilla. I just gotten a lesson from John Tillery, and I made an 8 on the first hole. And the vibes were really low. And at the end of that Cuskawilla round, I remember saying to Frankie, I'll just not do this. I'll quit. I'll just stop doing this. I feel like the fans are getting mad at me because I'm not improving as fast as they want me to. There's a world where I just quit and I go back and I be a security guard in Iowa. And that just might be the way that this story ends. Instead, we took a little bit of time off, actually took a good amount of time off, mostly pretty much the season of New York golf, where once it gets cold, they close down all the golf courses. We took that whole time off. We're still playing, shooting videos, practicing. And then we picked it up in the new year once it got warm. And I just felt rejuvenated. I felt like I was in a better spot. And that led us up to Rockville Links, where I played pretty well. My irons were great. My putting was terrible. I was slicing my putts, as many people noted in the comments. They were like, if you could just not slice your putts 3 feet, I think you'd have a better chance at making these 5-footers. But that's kind of what led up to all this. That's what led up to the Rockville round. Then we were at Raindance National, where I just played pretty fucking good. And I played good enough. There were a couple times, the 14th and 15th hole, I doubled, and then I tripled the 15th, and we thought it was going down the tubes, and we rallied, and we finished par birdie. So that's kind of the long history of breaking 100 to breaking 90, and it's just been a really, really long road. But it's been a fun one, and I feel accomplished.
Yeah, it's an amazing accomplishment. It's been quite the road for sure. I mean, from the other side of it, it's like you got me, Brendan, Alex, all the guys that come there and film, and we're getting just as frustrated as you are. We're getting just as frustrated as the fans are. Listen, there's no sugarcoating it. We play a lot of golf. There's no denying it. Like, we are a golf channel. We're a golf brand. We literally get paid to play golf. That's like that's the bizarre part of our lives at this point. So we start this series, and it's like a game improvement series. Clearly, like, if anyone were, Trent is his own type of golfer. He's not going to go out there and try and be Grant Horvat. He's not going to go out there and try and be Garrett Clark and become like the greatest golfer of all time and really grind at it. He's just your everyday going out there having fun, and he really doesn't give a fuck about all those little things about the game. And that's just a fact. That shows pretty damn clearly through 6 years of golf content that's been coming out, right? Like, you're not going out there grinding over the little things, right? Your putting stroke is your putting stroke. And that might be frustrating to some people. But listen, that's also the endearing part of watching Trent. He's like the guy that you go out and play with. He's your buddy that he just plays his game. And to be able to watch someone that does that and try and accomplish something, it's very, very rare on YouTube or on Rumble when you are trying to accomplish a feat, a goal in the game of golf. Every single YouTube video, and I've been saying this a lot recently, is a carbon copy of the other one. Everyone goes out there with 4 guys. They drink a bunch of drinks. They have laughs. They fart. They spin around in golf carts, and then they end the video and they get 400,000 views. Very, very rare is it that someone is trying to achieve a number and has been attacking that for years, where every single viewer is like, I gotta watch this next episode because I have to see if he does it. It's appointment viewing. So that to me was very, very fun. And then the reason I bring up the first part where it's like the grind wasn't there, you could see that there wasn't a change in like the way that we were losing 90, that we weren't breaking 90. It was always the same stuff. We were leaving balls short. We were leaving them in the bunker. We were 3-putting a lot. We were leaving every single putt short. So finally, you go and actually like you go out, you step out of your element. You get uncomfortable for a second, and you go to John Tillery on your own. I think he was frustrated also. He's like your coach, and he's getting like, he's getting like this vibe that he can't like fix Trent. It's been 3 years now, right? Since 2001. Yeah. So it's like, let's just fucking do this. And it was like, you put your mind to it. You took all the momentum that you've had since breaking 100, which again, you shot like 125 at fucking Bethpage before we started this thing. And we're playing ball in hole, USGA rules. We don't fudge a single thing. And if anyone thinks that we do, you're insane, because why would we fucking wait 3 years to break 90? We would have just done it 10 months ago. And we would have just said he shot an 89 and we're going to move on to the next one. We would just cheat the whole way.
Right.
We literally, we live and we die by each shot. We have the integrity on the fucking card, and we call it what it is. And you go down there with John Tillery and you learn the things that you needed to learn. And you actually had a couple of weeks in between that I was a little bit nervous. You went to John Tillery and then we didn't play for a little bit. You hit some balls at like the Barstool Classic, but we didn't have time. We had so much travel. So we go to Raindance. And just from the beginning of Raindance on my side, I was like, oh shit, like this might be the one, man. Like it's elevation. We're playing from the right tees. We're playing from like 6,300 yards with the elevation. He's going to hit the ball further. Like this could be fucking it, man. Like this is our day. There's John Deere's everywhere. The clubhouse is a cool spot. When we broke 100, we were at Garden City Country Club. It's a private golf course on Long Island. No one can play it unless you belong there. This is a public resort that anyone can go to, that when you come to Colorado, it's going to be like this amazing location to go travel to. I was like, there's something about this day felt great. And like, I was out there with my family. Like we were having the best week. Like I was living in Colorado essentially for the last week leading into that. So everything just felt like, all right, this might be the day. Something feels special about this. And like the way we started off, he shot 44 in the front. Like the wind was kind of calm. I had played the day before at Colorado Golf Club, and the wind was fucking insane. I shot like an 87, and it was like I told Trent, I'm like, if the wind's like that, you're gonna shoot a million. There's no chance. Like I couldn't even keep the ball. I couldn't keep the ball on the planet. And things were just working out. We were hitting fairways. The irons were going far, and we were playing smart. I don't know.
Yeah.
So when we're recording this, the video comes out tonight. Recording this on Thursday. This is coming out Tuesday. I don't know how they edited it. I'm sure they kept in the conversations, but I felt like we talk a lot in breaking 90s, but I felt like this time we really course managed the shit out of it. And it actually worked. People always get on me in the comments where they're like, you're trying to course manage Trent and he can't reach. Like you're saying, like, don't go for it in 2 with a 3-wood or a 5-wood, hit a 5-iron. And then we would leave ourselves super short, and then we still have a tough chip, which I took that criticism. And I took it, and it was productive, because we ended up realizing, like, yeah, we should go for greens. We should take that bigger club. We did that multiple times at Raindance, where we're like, let's just fucking go for it. What's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to end up in a bunker? Well, good thing you went to John Tillery. He fucking taught you how to hit at a bunker. We didn't care. We were just like, let's fucking do it. And then there were other times where it was like, hey, the wind is coming in on 10th. Dorothy and her fucking cow in her house is flying by out of the Wizard of Oz on the 10th hole. It was like God didn't want us to fucking break 90. And we played it safe. Hey, let's play it on the left. This wind's going to take it to the right. These are all things that we people have been waiting to see this type of golf. They've been waiting to see, are we going to take it seriously? Are we going to fucking hit it in the right spots? And is it going to actually work? And it all started to click. I'll say, I'm rambling now, but this means that this part meant a lot. 14 and 15 got dark. It got real dark.
Yeah.
And, we're doing the math. We didn't tell you what you shot.
I had no
in the
idea.
Front. You shot 44 on the front.
In my head, I thought I shot a 46 on the front, but that wasn't real math. That was just how I felt.
You shot a 44 on the front, and it was like, all right, I looked around and I said to everyone, like, let's just calm down. You went to a tee box, and I gave Brendan a look. I gave Alex a look. I said, this is good, like this is really good. As long as everything stays this way, he should shoot another 45. Even if he shoots a 40, even if he shoots a 45, he plays worse on the back, he's still going to break it. So we go into that back nine. We're feeling good. You're bogeying. You're playing great through the wind. You're playing fantastic.
That wind was really unfortunate.
I asked Brendan to send me the card. I don't have the card. I don't know if
I have it.
12. You made a par on that par 3, I believe.
Let me just take a look here. 12. I did make a par.
Yeah, which is like through all that wind, and you had bogey lead. So I remember at one point, like, we needed to basically bogey out, right? Like in my head, I'm like, if we bogey out, we do it. And you go double on 14 and then triple on 15. 15, I got unbelievably down because we played that hole great. It felt like you hit your drive.
Yeah.
And then we played it smart. You played like an iron.
I chunked the 5-iron.
You did chunk a 5-iron, but still, we were like, let's just get on in 3. We didn't really care, right?
It was essentially a layup, but yeah.
We were laying up anyway.
For sure.
So it was like, we're going to play it out left. You ended up thinking about too much. You chunked one towards the water. But my point was, leading up to getting onto the green, like, we could have just made a 5 and just gotten the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things where it was like, we avoided the water with all the wind, and we avoided the triple at that point in the fairway. Let's just get on the green, 2-putt, and make a 5. And we get to the back of the green. You were putting for par at that point, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, let's just nestle this thing up, make a 5, and get the fuck out of here. And I told you it was downhill, and I'm trying to read this green. I'm getting nervous at this point. We're on the 15th hole. If this guy just bogeys out, he breaks 90. And I'm like, just nestle it here. I gave you a spot. I'm like 75%. And right when I told you that, I remember being like, I think I just fucked this whole thing up, because you tapped this ball and it went 7 feet, right? Like a 30-foot putt.
Yeah.
It went 7 feet. So now we're putting for 5 from forever, and we have no chance. And that was from off the green. It's a tough putt. And then the next one, we didn't even adjust on that one, and we barely hit it anywhere.
I appreciate you took the blame on that.
It was uphill, and I told you it was downhill. It was uphill.
But still,
it's not going to show on video. It was an uphill putt, and it was like into the green, and I told you it was downhill. You had no chance. So we end up 4-putting it if you count the putt off the green, and we make a 7. So it's like, I'm sitting there in the cart thinking, like, what the fuck did we just do? Like, all that work that we put in for that round, like, we played great. We hit every single fairway. We fucking grinded on the greens. Our irons were going far, and we 4-putt the 15th hole. Like, we're in the home stretch. We have a 5-3-5 coming in. We're gonna make good scores there. Like, I can't believe it. So you make the 7, and I look at the card, and I'm like, he needs to par out. And I look at Alex, I look at Brent, I say, it's fucking done. This guy fucking sucks. I'm talking. I go up to Brendan, and I'm like, this fucking guy's never gonna fucking do it. If it was any day, it was today. I'm like, why the fuck are we wasting our fucking time out here? I'm losing my mind. So I'm like, we have to par out. And then Brendan's like, dude, it's 5-3-5. And then he said that to you. He's like, it's 5. So then we told you, we're like, you need to par out.
That was
like,
the first time I knew what my score was. Yeah.
And you were pissed. You're like, okay, like, that fucking sucks. I feel like I'm going to puke because I can't believe I just made a 7. And some sense of, like, normalcy just set in where we were like, maybe he can make a 5 here. Maybe he can make a 5 on the 18th hole. The 17th hole is going to be tough. Like, par 3s, we don't typically par, but we did on 12. And the wind is like kind of like easing up a little bit. Like, let's see what we could do. You started to get some sort of confidence, and I was like down. I was like, there's no chance we're going to par. When have we ever made 3 pars in a row in the history of Trent's life?
Never. But what I think the feeling was, at least for me, the way that I, interpreted it was like, all right, let's just see what happens. Now there's really no pressure because it looks like we're probably not going to do it. And that is honestly when I perform my best. If you had told me down the stretch, like, all right, now this is what we're doing, you have to do it, like you're expected to break 90 because you're playing so well, I would have like started to shit my pants and probably made a 9 somewhere. But once I make I go double, triple, and then you guys tell me the situation, they're like, you got to par every hole going in. And I was like, well, we never do that. So let's see what happens and try it. And then it starts to roll, obviously, after you make the first par. Then the thoughts start to get in your head where you're like, all right, maybe we can do this. And that's when it gets really fun.
When life goes so fast, it's important to take a moment to celebrate your wins and make adjustments for the rest of the year. Therapy can help you take stock of your progress and set achievable goals for the next 6 months. BetterHelp. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, mental health very much in the public conversation, the public conscious right now, as it should be, especially in the golf world. We talk about taking care of all kinds of different things, your body, trying to stay flexible, trying to stay healthy, your heart, even your golf swing, trying to work and improve your swing if you're a golfer. We don't talk enough about trying to improve your mind, and your mind is the most important tool that you've got. BetterHelp is going to help you do that.
Yeah, look, I've been a long-time therapy user. It's probably not the right word. Goer. Visitor. Yeah, it's very important. It's really important. If anything's, you just feel like you want someone to talk to who's not going to judge you and who's going to, the only motivation that they have in that conversation is to help you feel better. So it's a huge part of my sort of week to week life and this crazy life that we live. And I can't recommend it enough.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Take a moment, visit betterhelp.com/4 today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/4, betterhelp.com/4.
So 16, there was no pressure because it was like it's over. And then we end up, it's a short par 5. So we're like, all right, maybe he can get up there and we can get up there like around the green in 2. We'll get on the green in 3. We could 2-putt. Like we start to think, all right, like this is an easy hole. Like we'll just get out of here. The round's over anyway. We get a par on 15. It was awesome. We're like, we have 2 holes left. The par 3, like when you're there and you're feeling the pressure where you're like, all right, if we just get through this par 3, we have a short par 5 again where you have 5 shots to get the ball in the hole to break 90.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the pin was on like, it was like tucked behind a bunker, and there was a shelf on the left where we were saying like, if you just aim on that shelf, at least we're safe. If you go for the right, the whole green slopes to the right. You have the bunker. You have all this trouble. I don't even remember if there was like water on the right or something. There was like a ton of trouble on the right.
Yeah.
It may not have been.
Deep.
It was just a super deep pit. It's like that's an auto 4 if you just go on the right side. Like there's no chance it's gonna die forever. His like wipey iron sometimes will like just it'll get hit in the wind and just go forever. And I'm like, just hit that on the left shelf, man. And you pierced. It was like 150-yard par 3. You pierced this iron like sky high through the wind, and it lands perfectly on that shelf on the left. And we were like, oh my God, okay, like we have a putt now. Like
it's one of the great 9 irons I've ever hit.
We've done the really hard part, and now we have a putt to deal with, which is our least successful club in the bag, where it's like, this is where we just 4-putt basically on 15. Let's just make sure we can 2-putt. And this slope was like going down where the pin was. We played it over here on purpose because we wanted to just be safe. But we knew it was going to be a tough putt because it was a slope that was like King Ka at Six Flags. It was the most ridiculous roller coaster you've ever seen. He had to tap this thing and just let it ride. We had no idea how much it was going to roll out. And Trent delicately hits this thing. It rolls all the way to like a tap-in putt. Couldn't believe it. Oh my God. Pick up the ball and let's go to 18. And at this point, the pressure has built to a point where like you could feel it in our throats. My ears were pulsating. I could feel a heartbeat in my ears because I said, all right, we have a gettable par 5 now. You know? Like let's just make a 5 here and we break it. We shoot an 89.
Well, you did like, so after 50 episodes between breaking 100 and breaking 90, I think you finally figured out my mental state because you kept saying to me on the 18th hole, none of this matters. Yeah. You were like, literally, it was before the drive, before the second shot, you were like, none of this shit matters. Because before, I think in my head, all I'm thinking and all we're saying, I know you were thinking in your head, but we're all talking about like, this is huge, this is crazy, this is
our
only
only chance.
All the pressure, you're never going to make 3 pars in a row. And we finally figured out my mental state is like, the sun's going to explode someday. So just don't worry about what happens on this hole.
That's what I said on 18. Yeah.
Dude, and genuinely, like, that made me feel comfortable. Like, as we were starting the 18th hole, you being like, and if you don't do it, we're just going to do this again and it's going to be fine. I was like, I feel great.
Yeah, because it's true, though. It's like, dude, and you know who said this to us was Colin Morikawa when we did videos with him, where he's like, you hit a bad shot, what's the worst that's going to happen? You guys have a job where you hit golf shots all year long. So you're going to come out with another episode of Breaking 90? That's great. You know, the advertisers will be fucking pumped. Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, I mean, the mental state from Colonial when we had that chance on 18 and you topped it and you end up shooting like a 92 to then when you had to hit the fairway, we have a par 5. Yes, it's a short one, but there's this huge pit in between the end of the fairway and the green, and it's all carry on the second shot. So we hit a driver, and looking back, it's insane we hit a driver. Like, agreed. I think maybe from that tee box, it was like 230 to the end of this fairway, and maybe 240, right, from where we were playing. And it's a little downwind. Trent laces one of the best drives of the day. like a little cut right down the middle. The thing hits the fairway and just runs. And everyone's pumped up behind me. And I remember looking at it being like, sit. Because if this thing just rolls off, we're fucked. And we go up there, and I shit you not, and I say we play this thing legit. This ball ends up 7 inches away from going off of a cliff. I mean, it's the end of...
It was like Spieth at Pebble on 8. It's just right on it.
And just enough where it's like still sitting up and you have a stance. You don't have to stand in like the shit. Like it was perfect. Like things were sort of aligning. And we felt very lucky at that point. Like we needed luck to we needed one. We 4-putt this 15th hole. We need one back. You were playing good. You avoided all the wind. You beat all the wind in like the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th hole. So on the 18th, you have this shot. And I believe it was like, we did the math and we shot it and we said, I think it was like 205 to cover or something like that. Right. And I was like, dude, this is like, we don't have this. We don't have this in the bag.
I think it would maybe have been a little 205 less. Probably to the pin.
Okay. 205 to the pin is what it was.
Yeah. But still, it's a shot that I don't have.
It was like 205 to the pin, maybe. Well, I mean, if you watch the video, you'll see it. But there was also like a 170, like he could have taken like a 6-iron or a 7-iron out to the right or to the left, where there were these like bailout options where it's like, let's just get safe because you don't have this in the bag and there's 3 bunkers surrounding the green. Like, do you really want to like hit this into a bunker? And then like we have this situation again where you have to get up and then 2-putt. And like, if you don't get out, then you have to get up and 1-putt. And the green, this pin is in the back right with double tier slopes that go all off the green. The whole thing is basically feeding up towards the clubhouse. Like, and I remember saying to you, like, why don't we, like, you have 2 options. You can play it out to the left and we can just try and make an up and down, which I was kind of leaning towards, or you could just take like a 5-iron. Was it a 5-iron or a 6-iron?
That's a good question. Probably a 5-iron.
I think it may have been a 5-iron, and it was like just rip one towards the green, and whatever happens, happens. It was more that mentality of like, hey, if you hit it in the bunker, we know how to hit it out of the bunker now. You were in one bunker already, and you got out. Let's just do it. And you said, I just want to go at the green, man. From our view, like from Alex Jones or from Kyle Timms or whoever was out there with us, from that angle, I guess it was Alex. From that angle, showing how hard that approach shot was, where there's no room and you have to fly this whole thing, and you lace this iron up in the air. Once I saw it go in the air, I couldn't fucking believe it. And you cleared the green by 20 yards.
I was like, juiced. I mean, I was juiced. Like
it never had a chance to stay on the green. The thing went way over in a place that we've talked to the pros, like no one hits it back there. And then this is where the whole thing gets crazy. Like this part is where, like, legends happen. I mean, I know it's crazy to say, but this is a legendary Barstool moment. It's a legendary Barstool moment. You have decisions at this point. You have a uphill wedge. You have an uphill wedge on a short-sided pin where the entire green is going away from you. I'm talking so much so that there's a huge slope behind the green, behind the pin, and then another one that goes down into a bunker. So if you hit a chip just a little too hard, or if you go at the pin, it hits the green, doesn't really check up because he's in the rough, and it rolls all the way down, and we're sitting 3 at the base of a green that's maybe, 100 feet long.
It's an impossible 2-putt.
You have the hardest putt up 2 slopes up towards this tucked pin. The odds of 2-putting that are slim to none. And it's like, dude, we're looking at each other like, what the fuck are we going to do here? Because like after the second shot, I'm like, we're breaking 90 for sure. And then when I saw the lie and what we had to do, I said, there's no chance we're breaking 90. There's no fucking chance. We're going to make a 7 here, and it's going to be a disaster. I'm going to cry on the green. And I looked at Trent and I said, dude, we got 2 options. You can hit it to the bottom of the green. You can do that, and we can try and 2-putt. Or there's this spot, and I walked to it, and I said, you can hit it right to my feet here, and we can pray to any god you want that this thing's going to sit soft, and it's going to trickle out of the rough, and it's going to delicately make its way onto the green, and it's going to have just a little enough speed to get on, but it's also not going to have enough to go down the slope. It's a 1 in a million chance, man. And you said, all right, like, I will do that one. And it was go time. Like, I looked at you and I gave you one look. I actually said to you, I said, pay attention to me, because you weren't looking at me.
No, because I remember we pulled up in the carts behind the green, saw the ball, and I said probably 5 times, I was like, I'm nervous. Like, I'm now nervous because I know what this shot is. I know how hard it is. And then we walked up there. You stood in the spot you're talking about, and you were like, look at me, and you were saying, this is where you have to hit it if you want to hit this shot. And I gave you nothing. Like I wasn't using verbal words at that point. I was just like shaking my head because I felt like I was going to throw up. And at that point, I was just like, we're going to do that one, and whatever happens, happens. That's it.
The mentality was out the window at that point because we wanted to break 90 at that point. Like when you have a chip, like at that point, the nerves were in. The sun's going to explode. All that mental stuff was gone because it was like, we have to hit this now. We're here. Like we have to get this on the green. And two stoolies came riding up when we were talking about it. And like, they had this big smile on their face and they're like, Trent, Frankie. And I looked at them. I said, boys, give us 5 minutes. And I was like, I don't know if that made the video, but I was like, I looked at them. I said, guys, give us 5 because we got something special going on here. And if you fuck up this read of this chip, I'm going to kill you both. Like, I can't. And they knew immediately. They backed up and they're like, oh shit, like this is something. Like we know.
Yeah.
So, dude, I walk away from the spot. And honestly, I've been a pretty bad reader of like where to go and like how to read greens. I'm a horrible putter myself. I'm a bad like analyzer of greens and slopes. We picked an aggressive spot, but I think the most perfect spot on the green to be able to chip this thing.
Yep.
There's this little hill, and I walked away and I looked at Brendan and he gave me this look, and I did like one of those cartoon gulps where you could see it go down my throat. And I was like, I don't know how he's going to do this. You haven't chipped like this in your entire life. No. And you took like 1,000 practice swings.
Maybe 5,000.
And then you froze over the ball. Like, just like you did at 18 at Colonial, you froze over the ball, and then you went, and when you froze, I said, it's fucked. He's gonna hit this thing 2 inches. We've watched you do that 1,000 times.
Because not only were the two Stoolies there, but so were Kyle and T-Ray from the Barstool Classic team.
Oh,
and
the pros were back there too.
Pro was back there. So we got a lot of eyes on us. And Kyle, watching back Kyle's video, because again, I haven't seen the video yet. Everyone else has. But if his view on a cell phone, I take 50 practice swings.
Oh my
God. And I do pause over the ball. And the fact that I didn't just hit it 2 inches is a miracle.
You hit it to the perfect spot. You flushed this little chip. You hit it right on the center of the club face. The ball came out perfect. It hit the really thick part of the rough. And just like we thought, it somehow trickled forward. For a moment, it looked like it was maybe going to stay up. And it just took one extra rotation onto the green, and the celebration started. I was fucking saying, get on the green, get on the green. And it goes on. And dude, I don't know what kind of angle they have from Taylor Ray's or from Kyle's phone angle that we've seen before. I'm like running onto the green.
So fun.
And I'm windmilling this ball onto the green. And then I throw my hat in celebration and I get super excited. And you can see for a second, I look back mid celebration to make sure the ball stayed on the green. If you watch that back, dude, it's like when a guy like, I don't know, like Swaggy P tries to hit the 3 and then like they look back to make sure like, try and get cocky, but then they do a little look. I was like, all right, I'm thinking we just broke 90, but then I looked back to make sure it didn't do the thing we were afraid of doing where it was going to go down the slope. Turns out it doesn't. You have like 10 feet for a birdie putt. And at that point I look at you and I say, Trent, we've got 2 putts for this thing, man. Like the floor is yours. You're going to do this. You're going to fucking do this. And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to like, after the chip, I was still like, at that moment, I was like, this is so fucked what happened. You had the way your brain works where after the chip, my first thought was, if I 3-putt this, I'm the biggest loser in Barstool sports and athletic history. Because I could see myself like chunking the first putt, running the second one by, and then Frankie like rips my head off from behind. And he's just like, I think, I wonder if it's in the video, but like after I hit the chip, walking back to the cart to get my putter, I was emotional. There was like, I felt it hit me, and I was like, do not cry. We can't have that many criers in this group. It's fine to cry, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm about to shoot probably an 89. People do that every day. Do not start bawling crying because you just hit the best chip of your life. Just don't do that. So I kind of kept it together. Barely remember hitting the putt, but I fucking made it. I made a birdie.
Dude, that's the best part, man. Like when a guy has a chance to win a tournament and they end up 2-putting, or like how Tiger in 2019 like didn't make it and then he taps in. You want that moment of hitting the putt, and you drained a birdie putt. You came in par birdie for an 88. Like, when is Trent Ryan? I don't care. And bro, we had the Barstool Classic there the next day from basically the same tees. I think they played from like 75 yards behind us. So maybe one par 3 was like 50 yards further or 20 yards further apart. Like basically the same course. And everyone that came off the Barstool Classic course was like, bro, this place is fucking hard. Like, really hard. Like, target golf off the tee, blind shots everywhere. The greens are so fucking undulated. And the fact that, like, the wind was blowing for, like, 5 of the holes the way it was, like shooting an 88 and going 1 under through the last 3 holes. I mean, we're talking about Trent Ryan here. He went 1 under through the last 3 holes.
Me, Brendan, and Taylor Ray played the course again after the Barstool Classic the next day. And on 18, I was like, oh, I wonder if I can birdie it again. I doubled it. I played horrible. Dude, the whole day I played horrible. You go back and you realize I was kind of in a zone because when we played it again the next day, I played like shit and I was in those ravines all day. Yep. And all it does is take one. You chunk one, ravine. You hit a bad one on a par 3, ravine. And you end up making an 8 and you shoot 95. Like I'm not tooting my own horn, but it's a hard golf course. And if you make just a couple of mistakes, you can make big, big numbers. And we avoided it all day.
Yeah, go back. I'm sure you've watched this if you're listening to this, but go back and watch that episode and really intently understand all the damage that's in front of the holes. Like don't just watch the video and watch where the ball goes. Like when he's standing on the tee or he has an approach shot, look in front of him and think about all the bad shots that could have started to compound. Like and how easily you could shoot like 105 out there from the same spots that you were in. You know what I mean? Like there were certain shots where you're just avoiding all of this shit. And it's almost on every single hole. There's very rare where there was a hole where it was like there was damage.
I wish I could remember the hole, but there was a par 3 where you and I extensively talked about, should I hit a 5 or a 6 iron? We really went back and forth. I wanted to hit 6 just because that's the club I'm most comfortable with. You're like, it's 195 yards.
I think it was like 8. I think it was like the 8th hole maybe.
And you were like, hit a 5, and if you hit it good, you're basically going to hit it right at the stick. And I was like, even if I hit a 6 good, it's going to be a little short. And I've hit those on the 15th hole. I hit a par 5 and I chunked it, but I picked a 5 iron on that par 3. Easily could have chunked it, flushed it, hit it behind the hole, 2-putted and made a par. But on other days,
it was
on
a
lot of the days
it was a
that we've done
173 par 3 playing like 190. It was into the wind.
Right. And on a lot of other days, I pick the 5 iron and I don't hit it well. And all in front of you on that hole it's dead. You just have to re-tee.
Yep.
So I luckily, and it just was that day, pured the 5 iron, again, 2-putted, made a par, and we're moving. And that was it. It was like all day long.
Yeah, man. It was something. So, I mean, just coming in, like I said, I mean, it's a wild, wild world. Yeah, you went bogey, double, triple on 13, 14, 15, and then you went par, birdie. That's all time. It's fucking all time, man.
It was incredible. I mean, I'm almost speechless. Yeah.
There was like, I think the last couple of holes I stopped playing because I couldn't even fathom what was happening. And I was just watching this guy. You didn't miss a shot for like 3 holes of golf is like 45 minutes, like, right? Like you didn't miss a shot for almost an hour. It was like, I couldn't believe, like, we were all stunned. Like, he didn't miss. And yeah, man, it's an amazing time to be alive. This is coming out Tuesday. We're talking on Thursday. I'm sure all the shit has happened from the time we're recording this until the time you're listening to this. I'm sure TaylorMade came out with their logos and their hats and their pictures, and I'm sure everyone at Barstool's been jumping in on the bandwagon of the Breaking 90. We have these hats on sale now, Breaking 90. So join the movement, man. Like, this is an all-time accomplishment. It really is. I know it's funny. It's like, if you're a good golfer and you shoot an 88, you're like, oh, I had a bad day or whatever. Just think about the progress. Think about the achievement of where he was starting and the dedication. Like, this stuff is documented. Like, I know that maybe you don't practice the most out of any person. We talked about that in the beginning, but the dedication was still there. We tried so many times to break 90. I mean, how many episodes did we have? Like, close to 20?
Probably,
going out there and getting all the cameras and all these guys flying all over the place.
18 breaking 90 episodes and 8 breaking 100.
Wow. So we had 26 episodes since the time that we started this thing. That's a lot of attempts of golf, of like intently trying to score too, like not just playing with your buddies and doing and gimmies and drinking and playing games. Maybe you're playing match play. This is intent to achieve your best score of your life, and that's the good stuff, man. So where do we go from here is the question. I mean, everyone, you shot an 88, and you probably had a chance to shoot even better if you don't make that triple, you don't make the double. Maybe it's an 84, maybe it's an 85. We'll start talking. I mean, maybe it's like, do you go based off like the number now, like breaking 88, breaking 87? Do you try and just achieve your best round ever? Maybe that's for a time in the future for us to figure out. Maybe in a future podcast, we'll all discuss.
Yeah,
it.
we
I
do
don't
got
know
to
what
figure
you're
it out because I want to keep doing something. Obviously, it's so fun to do. Like so I want to figure out some new iteration of it. But yeah, breaking 90 is done. It's over.
Yep.
Shot an 88, and now we move on.
The chip. Oh, one of the best parts. What I was going to say is, so Raindance National, and we talked about this off the top.
Oh, yeah.
An amazing place to be able to break 90 because it is an open to everybody golf course. They are the coolest people ever. When you guys see all this footage of the clubhouse and the restaurant, and they have like a ski slope and a sledding hill and all of these things, it's such a cool spot. They're going to be building stay and play cabins soon, and all of these things. They have an amazing short course that you can play. Like you can play 6 holes that get up to like 60 yards each. Like an awesome putting course. It's going to become an incredible spot. They are also going to put a plaque right where Trent chipped his 18th hole wedge shot, and they're going to put it in the ground. It's going to say Trent Ryan breaking 90, the date, just like Justin Thomas has at Erin Hills, just like Dustin Johnson has at Glen Oaks. There's going to be a plaque, and you guys aren't going to believe where this ball was. It's like it's by the cart path. It's out of play. Like not many people are going to have to move their ball because it was on the path, on the plaque.
Right.
But I don't want people to start to slow down the pace of play at this place. But if you can, and you play Raindance, go try the Trent Ryan shot. And I know this is like, it's going to take one shot. After you finish your hole, leave someone on the green and just like chip towards and make sure you put a little thing, maybe put a glove or you put a tee where the pin was. It's that top right, that northeast part of the green, the green complex. From where you're going to be chipping it, it's that short-sided flat part. Just attempt the Trent Ryan at Raindance and send it in to us. We want to see it. I want to see every single attempt of that chip, where you ended up doing it. Try to hit his same shot where it goes into the rough and it trickles out. Just a special moment, and I can't wait to see everyone attempt the Trent. That's going to live there forever, and so many people are going to do it. I also can't wait for someone to just stumble upon that thing and be like, "What the fuck is this? Like, did someone get buried here? Is this like, is this the original superintendent that wanted to get buried under the 18th?"
Right.
Oh my god!
I really can't say enough about the folks at Raindance National. Like they're the type of place where like they embrace the idea of like what we did and what we were trying to do. Frankie mentioned the plaque, and also they had me fill out scorecards. They're going to put scorecards in the merchandise area behind the cashier. They had like Sam Saunders shot the course record there. He shot a 67 and he, signed a scorecard, put it back there. They're going to put my 88 back there, which is, again, it's hilarious, but I love places like that like really embrace and get what we're doing. And we're just trying to have fun, and it's a cool experience. And we want people to like go to Raindance National and enjoy it. So meeting those people and having them be so cool and embracing what we were doing was very cool. And I'm very excited about the plaque. I don't have a plaque anywhere, so I can't wait to see it.
Nobody has a plaque. The plaques are few and far between. So
right.
Great conversation on this show about playing golf with your dad, with your father, getting into obviously the entire situation of the Canadian Open with the MacIntyres. Out driving, out playing your dad in golf for the first time ever. Do you remember the first time you did that, Dan?
I do. I think I was 12 or something. It was a big, I shot 81. He shot 82. I remember it very well.
I remember playing golf with my dad when I was really, really young, like 5, 6, 7 years old. And, being frustrated with the game and being so impressed at my dad's game, which my dad's a solid athlete, but no offense to him, looking back, there's no way he could have been like that good at the time. And I was like, wow, he hits the ball so far. You can give Dad the gift of more golf this Father's Day with the Rapsodo MLM2 Pro. Whether dad is trying to shoot lower scores or just play more golf, the MLM2 Pro is a mobile launch monitor and golf simulator that you can easily take to the course or set up at home to play and practice. It's awesome. This thing is small. It's compact. We had it out in Louisville for just a couple minutes on the range. It's so simple to set up. It hooks up to your phone. The award-winning MLM2 Pro offers 30,000 simulated courses to play, 13 metrics, and 3 video replay options to analyze your swing, all for $699.99. It's amazing. You see how expensive a lot of these different launch monitors can be. It's like life-changingly expensive what it costs. The MLM2 Pro from Rhapsody, $699.99. And now through June 16th, just visit rhapsodogolf.com/foreplay, and you will receive a free dozen golf balls and a $50 gift card to rhapsody.com with the purchase of an MLM2 Pro. Whether you are looking to improve his game or play more golf with dad, the MLM2 Pro is the solution for you. Play your way with Rhapsody Golf. Play without limits. That is rhapsodogolf.com/foreplay.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we've been going for close to 40 minutes here. It's worth it. I can't wait to see the response. I can't wait to see everyone talk about this round and dissect it and go through all the shots. And it's coming out tonight. I can't fucking wait. It's it's incredible. This is going to be unbelievable. It's just such a big foreplay moment. We have so many things going on, and this is like such a big accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we have so many videos and all the stress of like, how do we come up with ideas and keep up with all this shit? And it's like, man, this has been our bread and butter, and it's just working. Like, it's just like, we go out there, we try and achieve something, and it fucking works, and people are all into it. So cool, man. People, they like all like the stupid shit that we do, but like, I think the diehard stoolies, like, that they started watching us like in the office, and I was Dave's fucking camera guy, and you were just blogging boobs and coffee, and like now, like, we're somewhat like golf people, and they're watching you try and achieve something in a sport, like on the golf course. I feel like they feel like they've been there the whole entire time on this ride.
Yeah.
That's the coolest part.
The best.
Like, I did that forward tees video, and someone's like, dude, like, I went back and watched your videos from when you were chipping at, I think it was like Chambers Bay or something, or no, it was at Bandon, and like you just couldn't get the ball on the green, and the Tommy Fleetwood video where I couldn't get the ball on the green. It was like the most embarrassing thing ever. And now I'm like that's my best part of my game. And it's the same thing with Breaking 90, where it's like this guy couldn't, like Trent, like, couldn't hit irons towards the green, and then you watch this episode and he hit every single iron piercing right towards the green. When you compare two different types of people, like, they're watching us grow up within the sport. You know what I mean? Like, that's so fucking crazy. Everything we're doing is on film, so you can go back and watch. It's all it's all, what is it? What was I gonna say?
Archived?
Archived. It's all archived. Our whole golf life is our whole adult golf life is archived on the internet.
Yeah.
You can go back and watch the whole thing, every shot essentially,
Pretty much.
and you can watch the 125 at Bethpage. Go watch that video right now. We have that on YouTube. Go watch that video of Trent trying to fucking.
I actually think it was way higher, actually.
I think it was in the 120s. You think it was the 130s?
It was high. It was really high. But yeah. It was high. But
Go watch that video.
Yeah. I'm a different guy now. I mean, that was 6-7 years ago. I was in my 20s. I'm halfway through 30s now. But yeah,
dude.
You're right, man. It's those 26 episodes, I guess, is what it was. Those, I'm very proud of those. Those are like very cool, fun, and people do love them, which is great. Like, I think you go back and even like at beginning, they would get like 200,000 views, and now the Breaking 90s get like 350, 370. The one where I topped it at Colonial has over 500,000. Like, it's cool that people have bought into it, and it's just, it's been really fun, and I want to continue it in some way, and we just got to figure out how.
Also, the promotion of Breaking 90 is very difficult. Like, I bet it's so hard. We can't put out like these like all-time teasers. Like, we could probably get crazy views the first day if we were like, Trent broke 90, watch it like now. But then that ruins it for everyone. You ruin you ruin the video, you ruin the surprise. And so it's tough. Like, you almost have to wait for this thing to spread word of mouth. Like it is a slow burn. It's very strange. It's like people have to start talking, and they tweet, and they're like, dude, he's doing it. He did it. Like, watch this video. It can't come from us for like 3 or 4 days. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing. Like it's probably the strangest video to have to try and promote, because it's a surprise that's on the internet that, like, after the first hour of people watch it, they all know the answer. But then there's like 500,000 people that haven't seen it yet that will end up watching it, and they don't want to get it spoiled. So
I know.
it's a very weird
It's tough.
thing. It's so tough. Yeah, it's very tough. But thank you to everyone that's watched it. Thank you for being on the ride. Yeah, amazing stuff. We're not stopping. I mean, we're going to keep trying to achieve the next number, whether it's 85 or breaking 88 or whatever, breaking Trent, like whatever, maybe like his best number, whatever it might be. 85 is not unattainable. It's just like people will have to be patient with us, as they were with everything else, where it's like, if you throw out a 92, it's still a pretty decent round. Like, it's just, you're going to be 8 strokes off of the goal. And it's like, all right, like, people might be like, oh, why am I watching this? But there will be that day where 84 is in the cards, where it's like, we shot a 41 in the front, and like, let's just fucking go. Can we shoot a 43?
I think I would have to go back and look, but I think my first breaking 90 post breaking 100, I think I shot like a 98, and it's just like, yeah,
right.
But it is, you got to be people that have to be real patient, because there's going to be days where I shoot a 49 on the front, and it's like, this shit's over.
But also, like John Tillery, let's keep going back now. Let's keep building. You're getting better. Like, we're not going to stop and try and regress. Like, we're going to keep getting better. What if Trent just starts to like hit way further off the tee and we fix the putting? Like, yeah, of course a 41, 43 is in the cards. Of course it is. You went 1 under through 3 holes. Why can't you do that again at another course without the 7?
There was a swing that we worked on with Tillery that I didn't break it out too much, like at all, during the breaking 90, where the ball goes way further. I'm just too nervous to use it like on a regular basis, because sometimes I can pure it, and sometimes I'll hit 8 inches behind the ball and I don't even get close to it. So there's definitely room for improvement and room for distance. So yeah, we're going to keep this going. We're just going to figure out how to do it in the right way.
Breaking 85, it's got to be breaking 85, and you got to become like a range guy. Like, you're going to if it's 85, we got to start playing some real golf.
I'm
85. 85 is real golf now. Now it's like, because then the next one's breaking 80, and it's like, then it's like you and Riggs going at it. You know what I mean? Then it's like, then it's fucking serious. So that we're real close to start. Like, we're starting to find some real numbers here. But yeah, and I can't wait for the response. It's like, no chance, 85. And it's like that when we do it, 20 episodes later, we're gonna tell them to go suck our fucking penile, and we're gonna move on to the next one. So I can't wait. This thing keeps rolling. The train keeps rolling. It ain't stopping until we drop dead, which who knows when that's going to be. But
do you guys want to know the score from Bethpage?
I know what it is.
I would love to know.
What what it is?
Yeah.
What was it?
144.
Yep. I just looked up the graphic on the 18th hole, said you were 69 over.
144?
You made an 8. Yep.
I see that number when I fall asleep at night.
Oh my God. Dude, that number.
I knew it as soon as you said it. I was like, he's giving me a lot of credit with 125. It was, I mean, I couldn't
doubled par.
Dude, Bethpage better than anybody. That place, when you're just not off, when you can't get the ball off the tee and you can't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Bro, what did Trent shoot in his first episode of Breaking 100?
I remember that too. Because we ran a Joy La Cava at, what's that country club?
Oh, Brookville, maybe?
Yeah. And the greens were impossible. I think I shot 122 out there.
That's the one I was thinking of. You went in the 120s. First episode of Breaking 100, you shot a 120, and we put out the fucking video somehow. We were like, all right, we're going to see.
Had to.
We're going to see how this series goes. I mean, you shot 122. Wow. So how many episodes was it? 26 episodes from a 122 to an 88? Not bad, man.
Not bad.
Not bad. And to be fair, there wasn't many ball in hole opportunities in between those 26 episodes. I mean, yes, we play a lot and we travel a lot, but it's a lot of match play. It's a lot of gimmies. People love to talk about our gimmies. A lot of gimmies, a lot of alternate shots, a lot of funky, wild golf, games. So yeah. Whenever you played your own ball, it was like, man, we really thought about like the breaking 100, breaking 90. Remember, like we would stress out about it, like when we were at Bandon or whatever. We were all playing our own ball. We're like, if this guy breaks 90 out here, we would freak out. We actually would film them as if they were breaking 100 or 90, just in case.
That's right. We would do that.
Yep. So every time this guy's played ball and hole, we've tried to achieve the number. So the fact that we've done it now is awesome. So yeah, it's been a grind, and I think that's about it. I got nothing else. I got nothing else. It's been a great journey.
Fantastic.